welcome back to another episode of the Startup Junkies podcast. My name is Matthew Ward, and I'm on the Startup Junkie team. Today, I have with me my co-host, Jeff M. Ryan. How are you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
Good. And today, we have with us our guest, Kris Reid. Kris is the founder of Ardor SEO, a company which can help build your company's online reputation, increase conversions through authority marketing, and dramatically increase business. Kris is from Brisbane, Australia, studied software engineering at the Queensland University of Technology, and has some crazy stories. So Kris, you're in Vietnam right now. It's 5:30 a.m. and we are happy to have you on, man.
And I'm from the future. So my morning, your evening.
It's literally tomorrow, right?
It is. We always say it's yesterday in America. But what a great time to be alive and be able to work online, especially with this COVID crap rampaging the world, there is never a better time to have an online business, and, being able to work and live wherever the heck you want, that's a powerful thing.
No doubt. And I mean, it's that acceleration is really something, but give us a little bit more of your journey. I mean, it's really interesting work history and kind of lead it all the way up to what led you to start Ardor.
Yeah, sure. So my accent probably doesn't sound too Vietnamese. I'm originally from Brisbane, Australia, studied software engineering. And there's the two best ways to make money as a software engineer is you either go to Silicon Valley and work for a tech startup, or you sell your soul to the devil and work in finance. And I took the finance route. I moved to London, worked for a bunch of big banks, making billionaires more money, which is kind of soul destroying, but they pay enough money that you learn to forget about it. And man, I tell you, life was great. I was in my mid-20s. I was getting paid a lot of money, and I had Europe as my playground. It was awesome. I'd go to Paris on the weekend or Amsterdam or whatever. It was so much fun. And I was living high on the hog, and my ego was very big. And I thought, I was untouchable. And then the 2008 global financial crisis came and kicked my ass. I lost my job, and so did everyone else I knew. And there was no jobs to be had. We used to work close with stockbrokers, and they'd be wearing bright yellow shirts and purple suspenders and just, champagne at lunchtime. It was crazy, Wolf of Wall Street kind of stuff. And then everyone's clothing changed. It all got really subdued. Everyone started wearing white shirts. And everyone got really conservative. But, I ended up going back to Australia with my tail between my legs and what the hell am I going to do with my life? My career is screwed. And being a computer geek, I built an online game. And I didn't build it particularly because I wanted to be a businessman. I knew nothing about business. I just was being a geek and playing around. And then as the game got to fruition, I was like, well, how the hell do you get people to a website to play the damn thing? And so that's when I started learning about SEO, search engine optimization. I discovered the secret of Google, which are backlinks, built a bunch of backlinks to my website. It shot up in the rankings. I got a heap of traffic and I went, wow, that's a lot of fun. And so I've been doing that ever since.
And that set the basis for what you do now, where you specialize on essentially growth hacking, right? How to get people recognized and to build their business using all
for sure. Well, I mean, that's what most people think that they need a website, but it's you don't. If you're not going to rank it, what's the point? People spend web designers just don't have a clue. They know how to make pretty websites, but pretty websites don't sell things. It's words that sell things, and those words need to get in front of people's faces. If you spend 30 grand on a website and no one sees it, what's the point? It's you want to build the most minimum viable website that you can and get that ranking because it needs to get traffic. And so that's really what we do is work out who your customer is, who your ideal customer is, what it is they're searching for, and then how to show Google that you're a trusted authority. Because anyone can write any crap they want on the internet, right? And so it's Google's mission to try and decipher the crap and filter through it to give people, credible, reliable search results. And so what we're trying to do is build up our clients' authorities to, get them trusted by Google. So, Google will reward them with lots of traffic and customers.
So Kris, when you're working with these clients, what are some of the common mistakes they're making?
A lot is that they'll spend a lot of money with a web design company and build a website that it might look great, but it doesn't get any traffic. And you really don't need to do that. You need to just start with the smallest website possible, but you need to start one step before that, which is working out what your clients are searching for. Like, you need to do what's called keyword research. Like, a good example is a crappy business coach will ask, what's the biggest problem with your business? And so most people, they don't know what that is. If they knew what it was, they'd fix it. So generally customers are searching for the problem. They go, I got a headache, and most businesses solve a problem. So that's what you need to understand, is get in the mind of your client. What are they searching for? Like, we don't want to rank for SEO type keywords. It sounds a bit strange, but people that are searching for SEO generally want to learn SEO and do it themselves, which is not our clients. We want to get in front of business owners that are searching for, how do I get more customers? How do I grow my business? That's our perfect customer. So once you understand what your customer is, then you need to structure your website and write some content. It's pretty hard to rank a website without any content, but then you need to build your authority with backlinks. And I need to share with you this article. So there's a SEO tool called Ahrefs, which is what everyone uses. It's an amazing tool, and they have this article where they analyzed 2 billion pieces of content. So 2 billion is a pretty big number. And they found that 90.63% of content, so over 90% of content, gets zero traffic from Google. So like, if you can write content all day long, Google is not going to give a crap about you. They break it down even further, that only 0.21%, so less than 1% of content gets over 1,000 visitors a month. So like, next to nothing. And I tell you, if you're super geek, this article is really, really interesting. But if you're not, spoiler alert, the number one reason that your content doesn't get any traffic from Google is that it doesn't have any backlinks. Like, that is really the secret of how Google works. So for those that don't know, a backlink is just a link from one website to another. And that's how Google trusts you. Because anyone can write any crap they want on the internet, and Google can't trust what you say. They have to trust what other people are saying about you. The internet is really, really big, and Google's trying to look at the whole thing as like a web. How's it intertwined? How is the content on your side intertwined with all of the other pages on your website? What's the relevancy of your website? But mainly what everyone else is doing, what they're linking to you. Like, if you're in real estate, you want to have lots of real estate links to you. Other real estate service providers, or if you're looking for local keywords, like if you're in Atlanta or something, the more links that you have from Atlanta, the better you'll rank. Because who knows more about real estate than other real estate professionals, and who knows more about Atlanta than people in Atlanta? So that's what Google's looking for to build up your trust. And not every backlink is the same, right? If it's some tiny little new site, that's not worth anything. If it's a big, strong authority site, like if the FBI or a university is linking to you, like, that's a big, strong, credible backlink, and that's going to mean a lot. But like, niche relevancy is just as important as power these days. But yeah, that's the secret of Google backlinks.
Given all the work that you've done and the obvious depth of understanding you have, do you target early stage businesses, medium size, large? What's the ideal customer for you?
We prefer people with money, because if they don't have any money, then it puts pressure on people.
Sure.
So one of our clients that sells dog products like leashes and jackets and all sorts of stuff, they were selling so many carriers that the person that produces those carriers found out who does their SEO and contacted us and said, they're selling more of our carriers than we are. We need your help. And they are now a client of ours, but they also, had their website was terrible. So they weren't getting anything from their website. And they had a limited budget, which means that they need results now. And SEO does take time. Well, it depends on where you are. Like, if you've got, the more established you are, the quicker we can get wins. But generally, it does take time. But it's a way better long-term investment. Like a fabulous book by Simon Sinek is called The Infinite Game, and it's a real game changer in business mindset. It's like, well, how long does business go for? Well, infinitely. It doesn't stop. So don't think about like this quarter or this year or the next 10 years. Think about forever. And he gives a lot of examples of businesses like, Kodak, who invented the digital camera but didn't push on it.
Sure.
Other companies succeeded with that, and now Kodak's disappeared. And so like our business, Ardor SEO, we generate customers for our clients. The way that we do it is through SEO, but eventually one day Google will disappear. I'd like to think that we'll still be around after that. Who knows when that'll be, 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, who knows? But like, if you keep in mind what your business actually does and not the medium in which you do it. So we generate clients, the medium in which we do it is SEO. Eventually that can be whatever the thing is that comes after SEO. And so if you keep that sort of mindset into business, then SEO certainly makes so much sense, because like it builds like a snowball, right? It just gets bigger and bigger. Like if you're spending ads on Facebook or Google ads or YouTube ads, all of those work, right? Because otherwise those companies wouldn't be worth any money. And any form of digital marketing kicks the crap out of any traditional marketing because it's so measurable. You can see I spend $1 here and I get this many people to my website, and what your conversion rate is. It's so measurable. But the thing with SEO is it's compounding. The work that you did last month, you get this month and next month. Like generally what we do with a client is we build a 12-month strategy and then we implement that over 12 months. And like, if they choose to stop working with us in 12 months, their marketing spend goes to zero and they still get all that traffic coming in. Like, it's awesome. But our ideal customer is, we'll usually give people options like how fast do you want to move, small, medium, or large, and wherever they start, I'll go, great. What do we have to do to double your budget? Give us, how many clients do we need to hit you? Because it's way easier for us to work with one client that's spending 20 grand a month than 10 clients that spend 2 grand a month.
Sure.
And so if we can just like, okay, you need to make 3 new clients a month. All right. Then as soon as we hit that target, it's like, dude, you told me we could double the budget when we hit three new clients, and off we go, and then rinse and repeat.
Hey folks, Jeff Amorine here. Thanks again for tuning into the Startup Junkies podcast. Steve Blank, the father of modern entrepreneurship, recently called the book that Jeff Standrich and I wrote, Creating Startup Junkies, a must-read playbook for anyone who wants to kindle innovation and entrepreneurship in their community. This whole idea of building sustainable venture ecosystems in unexpected places gives you the tools, the techniques, and the inspiration to do what we've done in Northwest Arkansas and Central Arkansas in your neck of the woods. If you'd like to find out more, check out creatingstartupjunkies.com. Thanks again.
And how have you been able to build your team so that you can handle, an increasing client base? Particularly, you're sitting in Vietnam, right? So are you guys virtual? Are you everywhere?
Yeah, I tell you, like that, if anyone's a startup company out here listening, don't have a service-based business. They suck. Like, yeah, every new client we get, we need to hire new team members. That's our biggest challenge. Getting client acquisition is not our challenge. We do our own marketing and it works really well. But getting great team members is really challenging. We have an office here in Saigon, which is where our core team work and live. Our SEO team lead lives in the building across the road from me. We can both walk to work. It's very nice. But yeah, getting all the people that we want in Vietnam is very challenging, especially during COVID, because the borders are closed and you can't get into the country. But thankfully, we are open to working with anyone in the world. And so we have lots of team members all over the place, lots in Europe, Australia, the US. And that just opens you up to being able to get the best people, which is what we're really looking for. And a lot of the time, we don't need to speak to each other all the time. Like, we want to keep our analysts doing their work, so they log in the morning, look at their tasks in a project management tool, and then you don't want to disturb them. So you let them go.
As you're building the business and you look at how AI and machine learning are evolving over time, how important do those kinds of tools, how important are they going to be on your own technology roadmap as you think about what you're doing, or will they play a role?
Well, I mean, in regards to Google, Google has an army of software engineers, right? Like, I read How Google Works by Schmidt, their old CEO, and it was written near 10 years ago, and they had 140,000 staff then, and they must be twice the size now. It's massive, and what they're doing is they're just trying to see more of the internet at more of the time and filter out the crap. That's another thing to think about building a website, right? It's like the internet economy of now versus 10 years ago, it's like so much bigger. And what's it going to be like in 10 years time? Like during this time of COVID in Australia, there was two big retailers. One that has always fought and tried to push the government to like have more taxes on internet businesses because they were kicking their ass. And another retail business that went, well, why don't we just build a really nice website? And during COVID, when everyone's shops were shut, they doubled their revenue.
Sure.
And it's like, what's it going to be like in 10 years time? Even bigger and better. So it's really good to invest in the website. But yeah, Google is going to be the same. It's just going to get better at filtering out the crap and building better websites. Like, I wish I knew now what I did, 10 years ago when I started this. It was so easy to rank websites back then. And so people were, careless. There was a kind of, they were cowboys. You could just do kind of like cheap tricks and rank websites, but it wasn't as valuable as it is today. And now everyone understands that you're building your brand. You're building it's Warren Buffett that said, it takes a lifetime to build a brand and seconds to destroy it. And that's really what you're doing with SEO too. You're building up that trust with Google. You're building up that trust with your users, and you're building up your reputation, your online reputation. And that's not going to change. It's going to get more and more difficult, but it's going to get more and more valuable as well.
Sure. And how do you, given that you have to kind of stay one step ahead of Google, what Google's doing with algorithm changes and the various different tweaks they can make, since they have essentially kind of a monopolistic hold on this, how resilient are you to those changes, and how do you stay one step ahead so you can quickly adapt a strategy for a customer based on new information coming from Google?
So the changes that they're doing are really just to filter out the crap. So as long as you're not doing crap, it doesn't really affect you. Like, what they're looking for is good, strong backlinks. So if you have really good backlinks, like about 6-7 years ago, they really started penalizing people that artificially made backlinks. And so they're looking for, patterns. And so if you're not building backlinks artificially, then you don't have to worry about that. The same with your website. They're looking for nice site structure so that they can easily understand what that content is about. They're looking for good quality content. They can read the content, And so as long as you're providing Google everything that it wants, which is, a fast loading website that's easily understood, that has good, reliable content, and that shows you your authority, then there's not a lot to worry about. There are some changes, like when there was the Medic update, where they were looking at, they brought in, for medical websites, they wanted to make sure that you showed who the author was and what any citations of, because if you're giving medical advice, it's like, it better be real. And so they wanted to make sure that you clearly show where your citations are. Like that I didn't just make this up, that I got it from this journal or whatever. And so like things like that, you do need to know about. But as a general rule of thumb, they're just looking for quality. So provide them what they're looking for and they'll reward you.
Kris, with Ardor SEO, have you taken on any VC money, or has it all been bootstrapped?
Yeah, all bootstrapped. We haven't had to go into that game. It could be interesting if we did. But no, it's all been bootstrapped. Our clients pay up front, which is nice. So we're always got money in the bank. If I could go back 10 years ago and slap my younger self, it'd be like, dude, read some books. I'd like to think I know a hell of a lot more about business than I did back then. And, I really didn't know at all what I was doing. I was just playing around on the internet and started making money. I was like, oh, this is fun. I'll just keep doing it. And then, it became my career. And I'm like, well, I better work out what the hell am I doing. And a couple of books that I'd highly recommend to, especially anyone starting out, is they're both by the same author, Mike Michalowicz. One called Profit First, which is about how to have a profitable business. And it sounds simple, but it's like people don't think about that. Like I remember when I was starting, it's like, oh, you'd get $1,000 from a client. You go, great, we got $1,000 to spend, and it's like, if you spend that to like on doing all the work, then there's nothing left, and it's a mindset you really need to like. Everything that we calculate our profit first. Take our profit margin. This is how much we got for everything else. And it's really revolutionary, and it takes away, like we even use a profit first accountant, which takes away a lot of the strain. And his other book is called Clockwork: How to Build a Business That Doesn't Revolve Around You. And man, like that's such a powerful book and such a powerful idea. I mean, I'm not perfect at it yet. Like I drive the business forward, but I can still go on holidays for a couple of weeks and come back and my inbox is not overflowing and the company's not on fire. It coasts along nicely without me. And I hope to have, it's my goal this year that I'll be able to have the business thriving without me as well. And that's a really valuable business. Then you actually have a business, not a job.
Yeah.
I know when we were certainly a younger company, it's like, man, I went from being a software engineer, getting paid lots of money, being able to take holidays and have fun whenever I wanted, to having a job that I have to work my ass off, working on weekends, never taking holidays and going, I can't escape, and that's what many entrepreneurs build themselves into.
Yeah, that both, first of all, great references in both. My business partner, Jeff Standridge, talks about profit first all the time, and it's a mindset change. It's kind of fundamental economics that we should have never forgotten. And a lot of that really fundamental thinking was erased in many ways by the mythology of Silicon Valley. Just go out and get customers, and who cares about your burn rate, and you're going to take it public at some point. And eventually that works for statistical outliers, but not the rest of us who are mere mortals. So this idea of building a business that has a fundamental economics where you're thinking about your bottom line makes perfect sense. Working yourself out of a job is something I say a lot. And maybe it's just because I'm a lazy boss, but I like to delegate. I don't like to do everything myself. And if you build that next echelon of a team that can run the business, you're going to be able to work on what's coming next rather than it kind of being a cult of personality around you. So to hear you say that, that's fantastic advice that everybody that's trying to build a business should pay attention to.
Yeah,
really good stuff.
I have to remind myself of it all the time. Like one analogy that he uses in the book is like, what's your queen bee role? Like the queen bee is the most important bee in the hive. And it's like, you need to be doing what you do. Like we do SEO. If our team members are doing anything else than SEO, well, we're not earning money. They're not earning money for the company. And so we need to stay focused. That's why we use a profit first accountant, because it's like we could do our accounts internally, but it's not what we do. She does them better than we'll do them. And it takes us away from what we're focusing on. And like our SEO team lead, who's way more, focused than I am. I'm always like have that entrepreneurial mindset. Oh, there's a shiny thing over there. And you want to get sidetracked all the time. You have some idea and you want to go and do that. And he's like, hey, focus, dude. This is where we make money. Stay making money. It's like, oh yeah, okay, cool. And the more you do that, the better your business is too. And just the easier it is. Because we work in real estate a real lot. And it's great for us. Like the more we niche down, the easier it is, because it's like, we've done this before. Like one of our newest clients does luxury real estate in Toronto. It's like, we just finished building a website for a luxury realtor in Naples in Florida. It's like, this is the exact same thing. We just changed the city name basically, and you're done. You don't have to put any much thought into it. You already know what's working. And like, if we go and do something like very different, it's like, well, now you have to work all that out. Like we're putting on a summit at the moment. We're having another agency run our Facebook ads, because it's like, that's a whole nother beast, and it's like, I don't want any of our people to get sidetracked learning that. It's way better that they just do some billable hours for our clients, make some money, and then we pay someone else to do it. They'll do a better job too.
So Kris, to take a step back, with everything that you've done, from the effort and time that you've invested, I guess quoting Simon Sinek, what is your why for what you've been doing?
To start with, I really didn't have a why. I was just dabbling along, and then it's like, well, now I want to provide security for my family, and then you grow into like, there's people that have invested a lot of their life into this company, and I kind of owe them a good secure job and a future than to what they've been investing in actually means something. But I really want to help make the world a better place, a more compassionate place with less evil in the world. And the bigger and stronger that we get, the more that we can help with that. And we even do that. We're lucky enough that we can choose our clients. If we don't like them, then we don't keep them around. And if we're not aligned with what they do, then we don't want to work with them. So like I'm a bit of a hippie that's all about nonviolence and environmentalism, and I'd like to work with clients that are ethical and want to keep helping the world be a better place. And if we all try to do that, then hopefully we won't die from climate change.
That whole pay it forward thing is pretty strong and pretty simple to understand. A lot of times the way we'll land the plane is, and you've already gone there a couple of different times, so I'm going to turn it a little bit. A lot of times we'll say, well, if you knew now when you got started 10 years ago, what would you do different? I'm going to turn it around on you though and saying, based on what you've experienced, what do you want the next 10 years to look like? So think about it as kind of the forecast of the future versus looking back on giving your younger self advice.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, we've had a good run, and we're growing at a really good rate, which I'm pretty proud of. I'm pretty happy with. But you got to keep your ego in check. And I've found this even in my previous years of business. Like when you start getting a bit cocky and you're like, yeah, I got this going. I know what I'm doing now. It's like, life comes and kicks you in the ass to remind you that no, you don't. So certainly keeping my ego in check. Reading a lot of books. I smash through books like nothing else. So reading John D. Rockefeller's at the moment, and when you're he became the biggest oil producer in the US at 37 or something. It's like, holy cow, he was incredible. You try and peg yourself to people like that, and you go, yeah, got a long way to go, dude. But I have a business coach that I'm working with. He's got years more experience than me. Plus he also gets to see the business inside the business, but from a different perspective. He's not emotionally attached to anything, and he can look at it very objectively. I really enjoy the calls that I have with him just every 2 weeks, him and our SEO team lead, and he really dissects stuff, and it's fabulous. So don't rest on your laurels. Use wisdom from other people, use experience from other people. Yeah, I want to have a lot faster growth than we're currently having. I mean, it's speeding up all the time, but I want to keep that sort of growth. I want to, in 10 years time, be looking back and going, oh my God, we're just a baby little startup.
Well, that's pretty good. And if our listeners who are in 100 countries, we probably have some in Vietnam. Hopefully you'll be an avid listener going forward in the future. But if they want to find out more about Ardor SEO or you personally, what's the best way for them to do that?
They can go to the Google and type in the coolest guy in SEO. And I tell you, if you don't see me, then Google is broken. But you can also go to Ardor SEO. So Ardor means to do something with a fiery passion. And that's exactly how we do SEO /startup. And if you go there, there's a landing page where you'll see my pretty face, put in your details, and I'll do a video review for you. So I'll show you exactly how many people are searching for your products and services, and so show you some simple things you can change yourself to get your message in front of where these people are actively looking for exactly what you do and predictably grow your business. So that's ardorseo.com/startup.
Kris, thanks for coming on. It's great talking to you. Thanks for getting up early. I know it's early, and enjoy that nice weather over there in Saigon.
Hot and sweaty, as it always is.
That's right. But the beaches are not too far away. Take care. We'll see you.